A
I
lot.
thought I almost broke it.
Yeah, me too. It
So
sounded
strong.
like.
The day that we decided to do this, do you think we'll be here?
I'm not gonna say I didn't have expectations because I did have expectations, but because I was so in disbelief that this could actually happen
Or that it could be a thing?
and it could be a thing. I think that you were so enthusiastic and you saw it so doable and so like this is the key to happiness. In the back of my mind, I was like, okay, so let's go. Worst thing that can happen is that we spend more time together. But I never thought that 5 years later, we will still be here doing what we love, enjoying what we do. I just knew we could always go back. And I always thought that, falling back was an option. And I don't think that's the right way to start something like this.
I don't know if it probably worked out because I was the one doing the research since I'm the dreamer in this relationship. I'm like, oh, that's possible. Oh, that can happen. So if you do this, this will happen.
Yeah, you look at the possibility. I look at the probabilities.
Mm.
I think that's the biggest difference between our personalities.
Well, and our approach to things,
Yeah.
obviously.
And I actually heard Ali, I was watching a video of him the other day and was saying that, the reason why we hesitate so much, what are the odds that I can make it? Out of X amount of people who's doing all this, who are much better, who has better equipment, who speak better English in my case, right? And you keep telling yourself all the reasons why would it work? In his video, the person that he was interviewing, he said something that like made me click immediately. And it was like, well, what if you look at it differently? What if you think about it like if X amount of people is able to do it, why can I?
Hmm. I
That like I'm like, where is these people when we started our journey? Like I needed this advice back then.
I never thought about. I only thought about like that. I guess further into our journey. Being that I'm the dreamer, I just see the possibilities, and I see that if I do the work, I can get there. That's all I need to know for me. I don't need to know. I know it's going to be hard work. I know it's going to be strenuous. I know it can be stressful and so on. But if you're telling me all I have to do is do the work, and this is what I need to do, A, B, and C, and I can get to D, then that's what I'll do. For me, that's how I look at it. You're someone like, okay, so what does B entail? What does C entail? How much effort and how much is C going to cost us? How much? What's the time frame? What's the learning curve of C? I don't see that. I know I should look at that logistically, but for me, I just know do the work. I
Yeah.
do the work, I'll get there. If that's the parameters I have to meet, that's all I need.
Yeah. And I think that it comes from your American bring up, brought up,
My American upbringing.
upbringing. Thank you. Again, the English, you see. But I think it comes from your American upbringing because I think that when you grow up in America, you grow up thinking that things are possible.
Okay.
Like you can be an entrepreneur
You can
and
be president.
you can be the president of the United States. You can be a doctor. You can be this. You can be an astronaut. What are the chances of being an astronaut?
It's all lies.
But okay, but in the school system, you guys are taught these things. Why not taught those kind of things? Teachers don't tell us those kind of things. Yeah, they say you can do whatever you want and you can be whoever you want, but it's more of like a game. Even if I want to be an astronaut, what are the odds that a average Spaniard girl will make it to be an astronaut? Like close to zero, right? So I think that upbringing influences our adult life. And regardless of my personality, of how structured and how secure I need to be to take a step, that lack of encouragement is reflected in my upbringing.
Do you ever feel that that has gotten in the way of this lifestyle for you?
My upbringing of thinking.
Yeah, the way that you think about things.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that one of the biggest roadblocks that we have had as entrepreneurs and as a digital nomads, as this crazy adventure that we're living, it's me being in the way, me doubting, me saying, no, nobody's gonna buy this, or no, nobody's gonna
Watch
call
that
us.
video.
Yeah. So why would they watch us, and why would we do that? Like, So I know that I'm my worst enemy, but I also know that I've been a big roadblock because you come out with all these ideas, and because we're not at the same either level of knowledge involvement or whatever, especially at the beginning, right before we started doing this, I doubted, I hesitated, and I stopped projects that we could have done.
If I were to look back at the beginning, even though I'm a dreamer, negativity back then did hit me a little hard because I was feeling very negative about things before. With when we decided to do this, family, friends telling us, "Oh, that's crazy. Why are you
Mm-hmm.
going to give up your jobs? You got great jobs. You have a great apartment. How could you? Why would you be so ungrateful? You got
Mm-hmm.
all this. Why would you just give it up?" And it made me second guess. Like
Oh my God.
it made me second guess so much. I'm like, okay, am I overlooking something? Like, is this bad? Like, I mean, I'm working all these hours. I'm breaking my back, delivering all the stuff I'm delivering, and then coming home and I don't see you. And then when you get home, I'm going to work and vice versa.
I don't see you.
For us to align our vacations was difficult.
Yeah.
But when we actually got it, that's the best moments we were having because we were just always together.
And
So
it was on vacation when you came up with this whole idea. I mean, it started brewing in your mind before, but it was on vacation when you said, what can we do so we can just
yeah,
live this life all the
that was
time?
it. Like this is what I want to do. I want to be
Hmm.
with you all the time. I want to travel, and that's it. That's don't get cheesy. If that's what we can do, how do we make this happen? And then, we
And
found.
you know what crossed my mind?
Uh,
It's never going to happen.
really, I was determined. If someone's telling me this is possible, and my father gave me a piece of advice that I take to heart.
Back then?
Not back then. Like this is
Okay.
back when I was a child. This is like when
Hmm.
I was 8 years old.
Now I'm eating the fries, by the way.
I see. There was this toy, when you put the little 25 cents in, you get a little toy, those little
Yeah, yeah.
machines. So it was one of those puzzles. It was like a little ball. You open it up, but then the puzzle is that you have to put it back together.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting here struggling, like I can't get this, I can't do it. I give it to my dad, and he just puts it together. Like he looked at it for a little while, and he puts it together like it was nothing. And I'm just blown away. I'm like, how did you do that?
That's
How did
magic.
I'm so blown away. And he gives it back to me. He breaks it apart and he gives it back to me. He's like, no, you put it together yourself. And I'm like, I can't do it. I'm telling him, I can't do it. And he
Hmm.
was not happy with me saying that I can't do it. So he told me, outside of genetics, anything one man can do, you can do. And
So
so,
powerful.
it just, I'm like, if you say so at the time, but it's crazy because as a kid, I didn't take it as seriously as I probably should have. But as I gotten older, like that just keeps.
But it's still in your memory, and that's what I mean about your upbringing. Those free, not free, but like loose sentences here and there makes part of the character of who you are. But if you never hear these things, if you never have that crazy support of you truly can do whatever you want because everything is possible, we don't say everything is possible.
And that goes back to the point. Like that's my father telling me that, and it
Hmm.
stuck with me all these years. I'm
Hmm.
now 39, and throughout my life, I've been playing that over. Whenever I had a difficult moment where I couldn't feel like I couldn't do something, even when
Hmm.
when I started learning video editing. I was scared to switch from Filmora to Premiere because I'm like, that's just so daunting. Like that thing looks intimidating.
Hmm.
But I'm seeing people edit on Premiere. I'm seeing people do all these things. I'm like, I can
If they
learn that.
can,
If
you
they
can.
can, I can learn it.
Yeah.
So I got into Premiere and it was like the best thing ever for
Yeah.
me. And then I'm like switching to DaVinci. I'm like, I can't switch to DaVinci. That's a whole
Mm,
other
but you
program.
were quicker the second time around.
Oh yeah, I had so much
Feel
confidence.
more into Premiere. PowerPoint. Took you
Oh
months.
yeah, that it was just watching it back and
Yeah,
forth.
the other one to Da Vinci, it took you maybe what, a couple of weeks, three
Not even
weeks?
just a week. I
Yeah.
was like, I got this. This is perfect. When you have like loved ones that aren't supportive,
Hmm.
the same way that message from my father is so powerful to me today, when loved ones, family, and friends are
Hmm.
being negative, it has that same effect on you. And so when we have friends telling us like you're ungrateful and this, it made me question, have I become ungrateful?
Hmm.
And it made me look at myself. I'm like, I give up
Am
so
I making a
much. Like,
mistake?
am
Yeah.
I? And like, I know I give up so much. I know I put a lot of work into everything I
Yeah.
do, and it's just that to hear my friends tell me like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, why they can get excited with me. But a little bit before you were referring to this particular part, and I said, "Oh my God." And my "oh my God" is because it affect me completely different than it affect you. In my case, I hate when people tell me how to do, no, what to do, not how to do, but what to do. I truly dislike that. And so when people tell me, "Oh, you're ungrateful, how you gonna do this? You shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it," then I'm like, watch me. Because I don't like people telling me, even if they're my loved ones, because I'm a little bit colder than
Rebellious.
you in that area. Um, that just gives me the completely opposite effect.
It took me a while to learn that I can't live my life based on somebody else's happiness. Even with my friends, like I want it better for my friends. I'm trying to bust my ass so that they can have better than what we were given in Brooklyn, living in the ghetto. But again, I can't want for something for someone if they don't want it themselves.
Mm-mm.
And I felt bad because I want to see them continue to progress. I want to see them continue to move forward. And I know that's what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to move forward, but at the same time, I don't want to leave my friends.
Yeah.
So it's one of those hard things where, okay, these guys are happy here. My friends are good where they are. They're fine.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's not happy here. This is not where I find myself to be comfortable. It's not where I feel satisfied with myself. In fact, I felt disappointed in myself that I was in this position. And so everything I wanted to do was to move forward, but it seemed like every time I wanted to go to the next level of being something more, it's either friends or family telling me that's not it for you. That's not what you should be doing. That you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
If I didn't have you as a support, me doing it by myself, I don't know if I would have continued. I don't know if I would be able to even start.
Yeah.
Because I have a big issue with procrastination. It takes me a while to start something, but once I start it, I can just go. But starting it is the hardest part for me. And I think if I didn't have you with me, I don't know if I would actually have started.
And I feel absolutely the same. Like, I know 100% that I would have never done this if it wasn't because you convinced me that it was worth a shot. And even when you convinced me that it was worth a shot, I really didn't think that it would actually happen. My thought process was, I get a job on the road, and uh, we'll do something, or we figure out if we get jobs here and there and things like that. And yes, we'll continue traveling, but not to the extent of the freedom that we have today, and with all our business like coming up into shape and everything. Like, I would have never thought about that. And you made me believe. Even though at the beginning it was like in my mind, I was like, mm-mm, it ain't gonna happen. Um, but I think that that's quite interesting that, sometimes it's your family and friends that influence your thoughts and can actually make you think every time that you have a misfortune or a problem or a roadblock or whatever, and immediately brings you back to what your family and friends were telling you before you start this kind of lifestyle. But at the same time, even
You start questioning, were they right?
yeah, 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 absolutely. But even though I wasn't completely buying into the whole possibility of living this life, you're the person I love. I'm going to support you. And yeah, I'm not going to support you so we can jump over the bridge and get killed. But, if you believe, then I need to support you. Just like when you wrote your book, I'll support you. I didn't know about anything about self-publishing, and I had no idea about any of this. And I read a lot, so I'm like, self-publishing, what is that? Is that for losers or what? But I never said anything to you. I supported you because you're the love of my life.
So, with
Uh
that said,
oh. Uh-oh. I need more wine.
when we left, when we decided to give up the keys to the apartment, hop in the RV, and leave New York for good, was that like the moment you like, is there no turning back? Is this like, this is my last chance to kind of stop?
I actually did not hesitate to leave. I love New York, and you know that. I'm not gonna say that I love New York more than you love New York, but my love for New York is different. I would
Yes.
say stronger because it's not a given to me.
I don't know about that.
You can eat the last one.
No, that's yours.
No, you eat the last one.
Half and half.
I I love you.
Like, man.
I didn't think that we were making a mistake, and I didn't want to stop the process of us leaving. I was ready for the adventure, but I think my problem individually as a person is that I was so burnt out with my real job that I just wanted to escape. Like it was enough. It was 13 years in a company. I had seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the super ugly. And I was just ready to go. And I think that when you act by impulse or by any kind of negative feeling, you're not being conscious 100% of what you're doing. And that's why it's not a good idea to make decisions when you're extremely sensitive or extremely upset or whatever the case is. And I think that that was my bad personal situation. So I just wanted to escape regardless.
I think I was more ready to go than you.
Yes, you were.
I was, and New York is my home.
Yeah.
Love it. Coming down to the time that we're actually leaving, I was the most scared man in New York. I was so
You were
worried.
like, who's gonna mess up my dream?
I felt like at any moment something could go wrong, and I was just terrified. Everything looked dangerous to me. Everything. A teddy bear on a train looked dangerous to me because I felt like it was going to hurt one of us. I felt like all the crime that I just overlooked before, it was going crazy. It was all rampant at that time. When you were getting off of work late, I'm there at the train station. I can't risk anything. I don't get injured. I wasn't trying to go play my last minute games of basketball with my friends. I'm like, nope, I don't need a sprained ankle this week. I don't need nothing. Nothing is going to get in the way of me leaving.
So that's my question to you because that seems like a similar experience to what I had in a different dimension, but a similar feeling of I'm just ready to go, go, go. Did you overlook or did you miss something through the process because you were so obsessed with the thought of leaving that maybe you would have done something different, a different way?
I didn't overlook anything. I was micromanaging everything up until the point that we were leaving. And the only thing that I said I probably wish I could have changed was actually seeing my mother before we left. I know my mom didn't really support the idea of us doing this. So I just looked at it as like, I already know what I want to do with my life. I know this is what I want to do and who I want to do it with. Anything that was negative or going against that, I didn't need near me. So I was micromanaging even the negativity that was around us. Whatever I could eliminate, I'm eliminating. And because I wanted a clear mind when we left, I didn't want some thoughts circling in here like, oh, they said this or she said that or he told me to do this. I didn't need any of that. The only thing that stuck in my head was you and messages from my father. My father was always supportive and just like, just go, get out there, go see the world. The world is so big, go see it. My mom didn't want me to leave. She's being a mother, she wants me to stay close. But for me, it was all about micromanaging everything. As much as I am a dreamer, I am a perfectionist.
Yes, you are.
To the point that I would get what they call it, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, you do get analysis paralysis. You think so much about the processes and getting everything without making mistakes that then you don't do things.
It's you. You're the reason. I used to be such a pessimist, and you've turned me into someone that's an optimist.
But how can a dreamer be a pessimist?
I plan for the worst. I believe in the worst. I believe the worst is going to happen. That's what. That's why I micromanage it. That's why I micromanage everything up to that point because I think the worst is going to happen.
Yeah, but even micromanaging things, you can micromanage things, but if you think positively about the outcome comes closer to you. But if your thought process is, all these things can go wrong and this, you attract that negative energy towards you.
And that negative energy is going to catch an ass whooping because, like, I'm ready for it. That's it. Like, I might be attracting it, but when it gets there, I'm ready. Being that people have this perception of being a digital nomad as people that's always on vacation, they don't work so hard. If you were someone now looking back at what all the information you have, and your family's telling you this, like, you should get a real job, you can't do this, this is not a real thing. How would you approach your family and talking about it, and how would you approach moving forward?
I don't know because up until this moment, I don't think that anybody in our families know what we do. Like when I talk to my mother and she's like, "Are you guys good financially?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're fine." She's like, "How do you do it? You have to tell me the secret one day." And I just keep answering her, "I work." And she's like, "No, seriously." So, and my mother is a big supporter of us. So even when somebody is like a big supporter, if they're not in this kind of lifestyle, it's really hard to help them understand what is it that we do. I really don't know what would be like a best practice, but just explaining what we do. But it's just so hard for people to grasp.
Do you think it's difficult to explain because there's so many things that aren't tangible to kind of give, that whether it be informative or just something that they can hold on to see, or is it more so because of how many stereotypes there are about this lifestyle that
I
kind of overshadows what goes on?
I think the stereotypes influence a lot of what people think about digital nomads period or YouTuber. YouTubers worse. I think that they have the worst stereotypes than any other digital nomad industry because people think that we're just sipping margaritas at the beach or just traveling for free everywhere, and that's not the reality of a
No, no, we,
YouTuber.
we just hit record and then upload it to
Yeah,
YouTube and
and
that's it.
that's it. But that's not the reality of it. So I think that the stereotype part is a lot. But I also think that the lack of being tangible, like when you have a job, you wake up, you report to work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
You
Whether you're
you
doing,
get a
you
paycheck.
get a paycheck, is everything is so stable, is so predictable, right?
Mhm.
Like everything is on a place that we don't know when we're gonna get paid as creators. We don't know how much money YouTube is gonna give us this month or how much we're gonna make out of our businesses. Like I can't tell. And, with that, it comes a lot of more problems like renting a house in some countries or asking for a loan in a bank. Like, because there is now this conception of this is actually a job and I get paid, but I don't have the tangible to explain to you what is exactly what I do. Do you have any best practices to like have that kind of conversation with your family?
For me personally, I think though the best way is probably to just be as honest and as informed as possible, because you know how your family likes to, how you talk to your family, what they tend to believe, what their beliefs and morals and values are. So you have to kind of play to that. So let me use you as an example. You're someone that needs facts. You're someone that has to have these things broken down point by point and in fact stated throughout it with information. So if I was going to approach you with something like this, which I did, I had to go and get some proof. I had to get like all these documents and like explain it piece by piece and show you how this could possibly work for us. I know how you have to see information. I know how you have to receive
Mhm.
it and how also it has to be given.
Yeah.
Because even if I present the facts, if it's not given the best way when presented
For
to
the
you,
yeah, for the
it's not going to
receiver.
work. So I
Yeah.
think you have to know how to approach whoever it is that you need to explain this to and what factors are more important to them. Because for someone that loves you, let's say they care about your well being, your health, and all that, they're not worried about how much money you're going to make. What they're worried about is, are you going to be safe?
Do
If
you
something
have food to
happens, do you
eat?
have food to eat? Do you have a place to stay? Do you have
Mhm, mhm.
those are the things that like a mother would care about,
Yeah.
and like your parents would care about. So those are the things that you might want to tackle first when presenting this to them. Like, hey, I already know how I'm going to get from place to place. I already know how I'm going to have a roof over my head. If I get hurt, this is what I'm going to do. I have these emergency contacts, bracelets, or numbers in my phone, or whatever the case is. And I think that's how you kind of have to, ease them into this
Yeah.
feel that they don't know. Because the truth is, all the information that you read and that you're seeing, because this is life that you want to start living, it's you that has this knowledge, not them.
Yeah.
This is
And even
completely
if they were to read it or to hear it or whatever, it will mean nothing.
because they're not interested in
Yeah.
that lifestyle. So it's not something that's going to stay with them.
Yeah, I
Bring them
think
into
the
that.
key that you said is talking to them with what matters the most to them. I think that that's the most important thing. Because, like, a couple of days ago, I was talking to my mother and, we were talking finances. And she asked me, "Oh, so, how is this month going? How are the videos?" And I said, "Well, we just finished filming a video for a brand. And so we'll get paid for that and blah, blah." And she, like, stayed quiet. Like, she didn't know what to say. And then later on, like a few seconds later, she's like, "So what does that mean?" Like, because it was a video that we were going out to eat. So she was like, "Is it a restaurant?" I'm like, "No." Then she's like, "Is it a food delivery brand?" I'm like, "No, it's a music. It's an epidemic sound that we did a video for." And she's like, "But you went to eat." I'm like, "Yes, mom, I went to eat, but we made a video for the brand, okay, and we're getting paid for it." And we left it at that because I'm too stubborn and to explain anything. And she's probably still thinking about it.
Family and friends may say some negative things. Sometimes it comes from a place of love,
Absolutely.
but also within that love, there's a lot of selfishness.
Yeah, it's a selfish love, right? There's so many selfish love acts that we have to experience throughout our life. Why would this one be different?
Of course.
Yeah, and so if I were to give an advice to anybody that is thinking about starting this lifestyle, and seriously, like from my heart, just buy courses. And whatever field is it that you want to get into, just purchase courses
Course, yeah.
because it's gonna speed up the process. You're gonna get all the information condensed. You don't have to waste time looking for different venues. You might be able to find all that information for free on online, but if you have a place where you're gonna be given all this information and you can start working on it from day zero to build everything that you want to build, just do it because you're gonna buy them anyway. The difference is when. So you get your return on investment faster. Like right now, we're 5 years into this and we're still buying courses, we're still educating ourselves. And again, if we could go back in time with everything that we know now, right? But if we would have purchased some of those courses, if we would have invested in our future careers, taking this as a real business, considering this and acting as a real business, we will be in such a different place.
And now we can at least talk about those things and give people this information ourselves because for me right now, in the position we're in, I love seeing people pursue their dreams. I love when we run into people and we're able to talk to them like, oh yeah, this is what we do. And they're like, how?
And your
How do
face
you?
lights up immediately, like when
Yeah,
you start
because
talking.
I
You can do it. People look at you like it seems like you want me to do it more
I
than I
do. I
want.
do. I'm horrible. I'm devil's advocate. I'll be on your shoulder. I'm not the person to be around. If you even have a thought or an idea or just a small imagination of doing it, I will be in your ear. I will be a nag in your ear, like, let's go. Come on, this is what you want. This is what you got to do. Here's where you can start. This is what you start reading. This is what you need to work on. I'm all for that, and that's why I'm happy with what we're doing now. Like this to this point here because I know what it's like to be lost. I know what it's like to just roam and continue just moving forward because that's what you got to do. But moving forward without direction is not great. It's not a good feeling.
No.
And it's so easy to get overwhelmed by
Yeah.
this lifestyle.
Yeah.
Whether it's your work that you're doing, whether if you're by yourself and it could be loneliness, if it's just friends or family stressing you out when you're so far away, if it's just you missing home. Like there's so many things that can
The daily issues that you can have. If you're in a band, your band breaks. If you're traveling, you get scammed or you don't get in a hotel.
lose your luggage,
You get
flights get
sick.
canceled, lose your Airbnb deposit.
Yeah.
It's so many things, and that's why I think it's important to have a community that is supportive. I think it's important to learn and continue to gain knowledge of the field that you're pursuing.
Yeah.
And again, just like you said, buy all the courses that you
Yeah.
can find.
Make it easier for you. Don't make it harder. There's no point. You're gonna spend the money anyway.
Yes.
You will spend the money.
Yeah.
So
And if,
spend it at
and
the
if
beginning.
anything, you learn from these mistakes that we
Yeah.
made when we started.
Yeah, absolutely.